Hi, I'm following along with Paul McCorder's Fusion 360 and 3D printing lessons. We're on number 11. And the homework for today was to uh, take a round nut and put knurling on it. So figure I'd show you my process for doing that. So let's go ahead and get to it. Let's see, before I start, I'm going to do this, but I'm probably not going to print it out because I really don't like knurling as a thing with Fusion 360. It's just hard on the Fusion and it's hard on the printer when you're making it. So if I was going to make something to be hand tightened, it would be something more like this with big knobs on it that the 3D printer is better able to handle and everything like that. But I'm going to do the homework the way Paul does it. I know how to put knurls on a object, one way of doing it. There may be others, but we'll go ahead and put it on the way I think. And so I started off, I created a socket head cap screw and or button head actually cap screw, and got threads on it and got nice chamfered sides. You can see my last video to see how I overcame the problem of putting chamfers on your threads. But our job today is to put some knurling on that. So let's get to that. So the way I would do it is I'm going to use the Coil Tool to do that. So as you can see, I took the round and put some nice chamfers on there just to get us started. So go down to the Coil Tool. Move myself way out of the way here. And the Coil Tool, if you let your mouse sit, it tells you select a plane or planar face. So we want to put it on this face here. We could put it on the top one. Let's put it on the top one instead. So we'll put it on the top one. That's our face, right? Now it's asking for a center point, and the center point would be there. And then we need a diameter circle. And this is actually a 1-inch bolt with a 2-inch nut on it. So this is going to be 2 inches wide. All right. So we can see that we've got our threads going there. It's a lot chunkier. We want a triangle, but we don't want anything that big. So let's 0.05. Okay. And to do this right, we got our 2-inch diameter, and we're going to do revolutions in height. So we want just a half of a revolution for this. And we want our height, the height of our nut is 1 inch. So we want one there. Oops, so it's going up. You never know whether Fusion's going to go up or down. So we'll go down with it 1. All right. And that takes care of that. Everything seems to be pretty good. We want to cut, so we can say okay to that. And that gets us one way. But when we do this, we really want to be able to, we want to have one going the clockwise and one going the counterclockwise. So we're going to do pretty much the same thing, except we're going to make it counterclockwise. So it's going to ask us for our face again. So we got our face, we got our center. I'm going to bring it out to 2 inches. Yeah. Change these things again, 0.05. Again, I'm in inches, so you'll have to make your corrections for metric. 2-inch diameter, revolutions, we only want a half, 0.5 revolution. And the height, again, I think it's going to be a -1. And it has us doing a join. We want to do a cut. And we also want to go the opposite direction. There we go. So you can see now, and I think we're good. I can go ahead and hit OK. So what we do, we end up with just a couple spirals cut into our thing. So to make it more like a diamond type knurling thing, what we're going to do is we're going to take those two features that we just created and do a circular pattern with them. So I'm going to say circular pattern. All right. And a lot of times this comes up to bodies or whatever, or faces or something. We do want features. So features has to be clicked. And the easiest way to select features is go down in your timeline, hold your control, and you can click two of them. So we selected two, it says two objects. All right. Now you need an axis to go around on. And we may have to. All right. It's our axis. I think that worked out okay. I don't know, that doesn't look right, but let's try it. Just increase it. Yeah, maybe it is. No, that's not right. So our axis is not right. Let's pick an axis again. The probably easiest way is to go up and get your axis right here. Oh my, I picked the wrong one again. We want the blue one. All right, bring it back down. We probably want this up to around somewhere around 12. And there we go. You saw my little green thing down there. When it does a knurling, it has a lot of calculations to do. So it's really heavy on Fusion 360. But anyhow, that's how you get a knurling pattern in Fusion. So I did want to, I noticed that some of the more advanced users have already figured out the assembly and movement things on here. So I thought I'd, for anybody else that's interested, that's the knurling end of the video. But if you want to watch, and I'm going to make it so that it looks like you can animate the threads on here. So that's all in the assembly setup. So we'll go to assembly. We need to make a joint. So we have to pick a joint. So when you do a joint, you look for these little coins, is what some people call them. So let's say we want to make this, and then we can hover over here. And you see the joint, but then when you go to the middle, it picks a lot of other stuff. So if you hover over it and you see with that dot, center dot, if you hold your control, then it's going to hold it and you can pick it. So we'll pick that. And sometimes it does this backwards stuff. So you can hit this flip here and it'll change it around. All right. So that's our joint. And we got that modeled. And only other thing we got to do, you see you got two tabs up here. We also want to change our motion. We actually have it on the right one, but a lot of times it'll be on one of these other ones. So we want the cylindrical one, and you want to make sure it's the X drive and X axis, I mean. So we got that. So we'll hit OK on that. All right. So we got that. Now to make stuff move, a lot of times, you know, everything moves when you do this. So what we have to do, you notice I got two different colors because you only way to work in assembly is with components. So we got two components, one's for the nut and one for that. So we want to take the purple component and we want to right click on it, and they have this thing at near the top that says ground it. What that does is kind of just like putting it in a vise on the screen so that it doesn't move. So we're going to hit ground, and they always ask you this, and a lot of times I just usually say capture position. All right, so we got that. now we should be able to move this, and you can spin it. Because we said cylindrical, it means it can go back and forth and it can go around in the circle. But that's certainly not anything like we want. So we have to go in here and we got to set a couple things on our thing. So we're going to go up here in assembly, and we're going to first we want to keep it so that it doesn't go all the way through. So that's actually somewhere else. So you have this thing called joints up here. So you can do that. And you see you get the one cylindrical joint. You got this little button next to it, and it sets you, you click on that to be able to set the joint limits. Okay, so right now it's set to rotate, but we don't want that. We want it to slide. We want to make sure that it doesn't slide past the end of my threads here. And I'm also going to make it so it comes like part the way out of the threads, but not all the way off. So we want to set our minimum. So a lot of times this is kind of hard to do. So I just kind of set 0 in there. And zero. And it kind of, you see that's where 0 is. So I know that I put 1.5 inches of threads, and this is 1 inch. So I know that I want to go back. So I'm going to go 0.5. And if you see it, it goes to the ends of the threads. All right. Then we want to click on our maximum. And so we knew that 0, if we put 0 in here, it comes to there, but we wanted to come part of the way off. So we actually wanted to say, let's see, we wanted to say maybe 0.6, oh, negative 0.6. As you can tell, I don't do this very often either. Other people I've seen look like they're much better at than I am. 0.6. What's that point? I thought I had 0.5 there. I thought this one was 0.5. Yeah. All right. And then you can animate it. Let's see what happens when we animate it. I'm not moving at all. There we go. That's the limits of it now. So that's good. All right. So that set our limits for us, but that doesn't allow us to do our, now we can turn it, but you can still slide it and threads don't slide. So we can go back up here to assembly, and we call for the, I think it's motion link. And we want to capture position again. All right. So it wants to know what joint we want to work with. So I'll select the one that's in there. We could also go over here and select it. So, but you can either do it on the thing or go to your time or your tree and get it. So, but we want these joints to work together. So we want to click on this link joints. So we want that. All right. So you can see it's got like a timeline there. And a lot of times this will be spinning different than what your threads are, but it looks like it's probably close to it. That's because this is the second time I've done this, so it's got some settings in there. So if you notice that if one revolution is moving more than a thread length on your bolt, then what you really didn't need is you want to have in metric, it's easy. It's the pitch of your whatever pitch you have for your threads. That's what you want to put in here. With us, we want to do 1/4 threads per inch. So this is a 8 threads per inch on this. So 1/8 is this 0.125. So that's what that is. And you want to make sure this angle is 360. So let's just change this. The distance was be 0.5. And now we can animate it. And let's try 1. Yeah, see, it's like on less than 1 turn is taking it all the way on and off. So we want to go back to 0.125. All right. So that's how you set that. That's in Motion Link. And you can hit OK. And then we should be able to grab it and just spin it around. And sometimes you just, there you go. Now we're all the way up against our stop. And we can come back out. And one way when you got your threads that you can notice that you're got your right threads per inch is that when you're spinning and moving that the internal threads stay the same. You see they're not really moving at all until you get to the end. Anyhow, that's how you get motion in your assembly and everything like that. I'm not that great at it, but I figured I'd show how I do it. Paul might get to that eventually. That's a kind of an advanced feature, so I don't know. Anyhow, I enjoy Paul's lessons and look forward to more. Thanks for watching.